other bit, and there is an allegation coming in from many shareholders and also proxy advisory firm and representative Anil Singhvi, who came on CNBC TV 18, and he said that promoters' share increases to about 40% from earlier 31%, and this seems to be the only focus for doing this entire restructuring.
That is absolutely not correct. There are two companies over here, both of which are large listed companies. The promoters held 58.8% in AB Nouveau. They held 31% roughly in Grasim. When you put the two companies together as a function of the swap ratio, if you own 58 in one and 31 in the other, it is obvious that you will own somewhere between 31 and 58 in the combined entity. If the promoters were very focused, and one thing which people don't seem to have picked up is that the Grasim 2.6% holding that it has in AB Nouveau is being cancelled as part of the scheme. Okay, as a result, the promoter holding is getting to 38.8% as opposed to 39.3% if that had not been cancelled. So if the promoters were focused on boosting their shareholding, they would not have cancelled that holding. So clearly this is not a function of that. This is a function of doing something which the promoters believe will create value for all shareholders.
Because I raised this also because they would have taken for any particular financial year, you can increase, the promoters can increase the stake in a particular company only by 5%. And through this entire rejig, in one shot, it can be substantially increased as well.
So I think what we are saying is the same thing, which is that if you're starting at 31 in one and 58 in the other, you're also coming down by 20%.
But it's Grasim where a lot of businesses are harbored, where the shareholding is increasing. So that's one thing that the shareholders have been worried about. Another bit is the AB Nouveau shareholders are also feeling slighted and cheated here because they were waiting for the financial services growth opportunity and that value unlocking there. Now net what they land up holding is 13% directly and 18% indirectly, because 57% will be held by Grasim. Isn't this in a way not in favor of AB Nouveau shareholders?
Okay. See, one of the key drivers for this entire restructuring has been to try and provide the right platform for the future growth of the financial services business. As you know, in financial services, capital is virtually a raw material. And AB Nouveau has funded the financial services business and brought it to today's level, where it is a large, attractive company with leadership positions in a number of sectors. But this is a company which will need capital going forward. That's something Mr. Birla mentioned in his press conference yesterday. The belief is that by putting these two companies together, it provides the right kind of parentage which would facilitate the ability to deploy capital into financial services over a period of time. There could have been other options. For example, they could have gone in for an IPO of the financial services business. But if they had done that, the AB Nouveau shareholders would not have got any direct holding in financial services. And effectively speaking, this holdco discount that you're talking about would have been, as and when those discounts prevail, even larger. Here, the shareholders of both AB Nouveau and Grasim are getting a direct 43% stake in the financial services business, and you would recognize that that represents an unlocking of value for them. One more point, which is that could you have done a complete spin-off of financial services? You could have done that. But in that case, the promoters would have got 58% directly in financial services. But there would have been no single entity above the financial services business which was in a position to provide that parentage and support to take it forward.
So one particular question on 91.9 crore rupees crore shares, that is new equity shares in ABFSL, the financial services arm. Why is that done? The shareholders seem to be worried about that as well. They feel that it's done to increase the shareholders, the shareholding of promoters directly into the financial services business, which is seen to be our growth engine.
Shares which are being issued as a result of the demerger. You needed to issue roughly 43% of the capital of ABFS in a demerger to ensure that the public float of the company when it lists is more than 25%, which is a regulatory requirement. So it's just a matter of simple math in terms of the number of shares that need to be issued.
So you are saying that it's regulatory requirement to have 25% public float, and by way of the calculations, you had to issue these additional shares to come to that number. There was no other way of doing it.
Yes, there was no other way of doing it with round numbers.
Of course, there are many issues that need to be discussed here on the particular Rejig, and what are the concerns that have been raised by shareholders. We'll get all the answers directly from the banker to the deal right after this short break.